Hey everyone, hello. So today we're going to peel back the curtain on an unusual subject. The presidents of the United States who have dabbled in, or at least entertained, occult practices, spiritualism, or even belief in ghosts and demons. When we think of presidents, we imagine statesmen, war heroes, and political figures. But behind closed doors, many of them were fascinated with the unknown. So let's explore who they were, what they believed, and the hidden side of America's highest office. We'll start with George Washington, our very first president. He was deeply involved in Freemasonry, a fraternity often linked to occult symbolism. Washington took his presidential oath on a Masonic Bible and frequently incorporated Masonic ritual into his public life. Freemasonry wasn't just a gentleman's club. It drew on esoteric traditions, sacred geometry, and ancient mystery schools. Washington himself is often associated with the mystical layout of Washington, D.C., a city filled with Masonic and occult symbolism in its monuments and street design. And then we have Abraham Lincoln, perhaps the most famous president linked to ghosts and spiritualism. During the Civil War, grief-hungry, heavy in the White House, the Lincolns lost their young son Willie in 1862, and his death drove Mary Todd Lincoln into the world of seances. She hosted mediums in the White House and held seances in the Red Room. And reports claim that Lincoln himself attended at least one. Even more chilling, Lincoln often confessed to friends that he often dreamed of his own assassination, seeing visions of his death before it happened. And then after his death, multiple accounts described Lincoln's ghost lingering in the White House, spotted by presidents, first ladies, and even Winston Churchill. And then we have Franklin D. Roosevelt, another president who was tied to Freemasonry, frequently invoked mystical language. He was a 32nd degree Mason and surrounded himself with advisors who entertained esoteric ideas. Some historians point to his interest in astrology and his reliance on symbols as part of his vision for America's destiny. The Great Seal of the United States, the pyramid, and the all-seeing eye was officially placed on the dollar bill during Roosevelt's presidency in 1935, cementing one of the most iconic occult symbols into everyday American life. And then we have Truman, Harry S. Truman. Truman wasn't a Mason, but he was the only president. He wasn't just a Mason, He was the only president to have reached the 33rd degree, the highest level of Freemasonry in the Scottish Rite. Now, Truman, he said that Masonry wasn't just a hobby, it was a guiding philosophy. He publicly stated that Masonry made him the man he was. And that has led to theories that Truman, who also made the fateful decision to unleash the atomic bomb, leaned on occult traditions for strength and justification. And then we have Ronald and Nancy Reagan. So if we fast forward to the 1980s, Ronald Reagan may not have been a mystic himself, but his wife Nancy was a devoted believer in astrology. After the 1981 assassination attempt on her husband, Nancy secretly consulted astrologer Joan Quigley. and she arranged Reagan's schedule around astrological charts, choosing dates for speeches, travel, and even nuclear negotiations with the Soviet Union. And while Reagan joked about it publicly, insiders admitted that the First Lady's occult consultations were taken seriously. And then Richard Nixon had a strange relationship with the supernatural. According to his friend, comedian Jackie Gleason, Nixon once showed him classified evidence of UFOs and extraterrestrial bodies stored by the U.S. government. Though not directly tied to occultic rituals, Nixon's alleged belief in otherworldly beings placed him among presidents who stepped outside the traditional religion into paranormal territory. And then we have Jimmy Carter. Now, before his presidency, Jimmy Carter claimed to have seen a UFO in 1969. He even filed an official report with the International UFO Bureau. And while Carter was a devout Christian, he never denied his encounter with the unexplained. Though not occultic in the traditional sense, Carter's open belief in extraterrestrial phenomena aligned him with presidents who dared to acknowledge forces beyond human understanding. And then other glimpses of supernatural in the White House. We have Thomas Jefferson. He kept correspondence with mystics and free thinkers in Europe, absorbing Enlightenment-era occult philosophy. Also, Theodore Roosevelt spoke of mystical experiences in nature, describing them as near spiritualist terms. And then Barack Obama once joked about ghosts in the White House, while staffers confirmed strange, unexplainable happenings in the historic building. So things that make you go, So what does all this mean for from Washington's Freemasonry to Lincoln's seances, from FDR's occult symbolism to Nancy Reagan's astrology? The presidents of the United States have never been strangers to the supernatural. Perhaps this isn't surprising. After all, leaders under immense pressure may turn to forces beyond themselves, whether for comfort, guidance, or power. The question is, are these simply curiosities of history, or clues to something deeper that binds politics to the unseen world? So, yeah, that's it for today's video. Until next time, remember, the White House may be a seat of democracy, but it is a house of ghosts. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Take care. Peace.